It's David Ducker coming back at you, and today we're going to be talking about classes versus classlessness. We're going to be talking about skills versus the unskilled. I'm talking about basically point buy games versus games that have a preset list of things you have to take as a package, usually called classes, careers, or jobs. Yeah, I'll start right off the bat and say that I like skill-based games better, point-buy games much better. And let me explain to you why that is. Because for me, it's about making a character, someone who fits into the campaign tripod, the setting, the story, the team, developing his backstory, where he's from, where he wants to go, who he knows. So getting this very complex character written, I write the character out, getting approval from the GM, help from the GM, so he'll fit in to all of these other things. And then the very last thing I do is stat that character, because that's the least important part. That's the least fun. The most fun in the long term is going to be the story. It's going to be the role playing. It's going to be the character. So that's what you focus your time and effort and energy on. Plant the seed that's going to grow instead of planting a seed that you'll get yay high and I'll just kind of sit around at that level. So that's how I usually do things. With point buy, I've had very, very few problems. Usually I have my character and I go through and I say, okay, he would have this and this and this and this and this and this. And I read up on each one and determine what level he'd have them at based on his backstory. And we're pretty much off and running very quickly. And let's contrast class-based. If I already have this character and I look at my class-based system, I say, okay, so my character is noble born. He's a tourney knight. He's very religious, highly educated. But he actually has very, very poor social skills. And although he is a tourney knight, he relies on having like really good armor and really nice horse and maybe even trash talking. Like he's so uncharismatic, he learns to use his uncharisma to piss people off. But his actual technique at fighting is not very good. Maybe he's a little small and scrawny. So I'm like, okay, I got my character. Now I'm gonna go through and it's like, they got a class called Knight. And I'm like, okay, well, but a Knight has to have high charisma. It says, okay, I can't be a Knight then. They got Man at Arms. Okay. But a Man at Arms uses only like medium armor, and my character needs to have heavy armor. Okay, so I gotta go through and there's they're Paladin. It's like, well, because that guy's magic. My character doesn't have any magic. And oftentimes I'm like, well, he wouldn't fit any of these. He's a really great character. The GM loves him. He fits the setting, the story, the team. He's got history. He's got his noble house, his connections. But getting him into this little box of a class, it's like I can't do it. He doesn't fit. He's designed to be a real person, and the classes are generic templates. Even in Warhammer Second Edition, where they have 150 classes in the core book, he still might not fit any of those because people are so complex, and your character should be so complex, especially if you think about it. Especially if he's like 60, he's had all these life experiences. I could see a 14-year-old character, 7-year-old character fitting into a box pretty easily. Because they just haven't done much with their life. But if you want to play someone who's 80 years old, 60, 40, even 20, depending on the character, depending on what's actually happened to this man. Alexander the Great, I believe, was in his 20s when he died, or just out of them. So for me, it gets in the way of the role playing. You have a class, a box. Try to deal with the mechanics. Like, I don't want to deal with the mechanics. I want the mechanics to facilitate the role playing. That's that's the main event. That's why I'm here. The mechanics just help me do that. And if they're not helping me do that, I don't want any part of them. So that's why I have issues. So that's me. That's the role player's perspective. So point by, the strength is versatility, creativity. You can do whatever you want with it. Classes, the weakness is you can't do whatever you want. You don't have customization options. So that's the criticism right there. Let's flip it around. Let's say, what do classes do well? Well, for a short game, they're usually quicker to build a character. So for one-shots, and I play a lot of one-shots online, so classes are good because you don't need a very, very complex character often in a one-shot. Another thing is that they may be good for new players. People who don't know, how to run the mechanics, how to write a character. So they could be good for new players, depending on what they are. Warhammer 2nd Edition probably is really good for players. Something like Pathfinder is probably not, because it's still very, very complex. What else is the class-based system going to be good at? People who have weak writing skills. It's like, oh, I can't make a character. Like, I just don't know. I don't know. So that could be good for someone because the character is basically already made for you. Many of these are things the GM should, in my opinion, be helping you with. Say, oh, you're a weak writer? Well, let's just talk and we'll put together a character for you. Oh, you're new? Well, let's just talk and we'll put together a character for you. And the GM should, in my opinion, be helping. If the GM is weak, if he's not helping, maybe a class-based system could help in that case. So that's what they do well. And I do use them for one-shots, even myself, who will go on the tirade against them. Now let's take skill systems. What do they do poorly? Because they have so many options, and that can mean a lot more rules as well, then it can be kind of hard to know where to start. So if you're the kind of person who, again, is a weak writer or wants to look at the mechanics first, a point buy could be intimidating for you. It could give you problems. It could take a lot of time to get into. So that could be an issue. Again, your GM, in my opinion, should facilitate you and say, let's make the character without worrying about the rules. Then we'll just stat him because the rules are so versatile. We can do that. Focus on the fun part and then do that part really quick. Instead of saying, oh, I got this list of 400 different skills. I'm going to read each one and try to get inspiration from the skill list. Don't do that. That sounds like a pain to me. That sounds like pain, blues, and agony. So point buy can be intimidating, can be complicated if you don't know what you're trying to do. So that's the other side of the coin on point buy. So I just wanted to go through and kind of break down those differences because a lot of people don't seem to understand something like Pathfinder, Rogue Trader, Dark Heresy, Warhammer 40k. Even Call of Cthulhu has their career path, although it's mostly point buy. It's kind of a hybrid system compared to something like D6 system, Savage Worlds, GURPS, World of Darkness, something that's going to be a little bit more versatile. Not everybody can handle versatility. And for one-shots, you might not have time for versatility. It's a waste of your time to spend an hour writing a backstory for a character you're only going to play for 2 hours. Whereas in Pathfinder, you say, okay, I'm a level 4 cleric, and, done. Pathfinder is not actually that easy, but it could be that easy. It's just not, sadly. But Warhammer could be. Warhammer 2nd Edition. I'm sure there are a lot of other games point by, or excuse me, class based that could be simple. Pathfinder's not one of them. But that is kind of my review, my overview of point by, class based, what each does well, what each does poorly, why I prefer point by, because I'm an immersion guy. If writing is tedious, role playing is tedious, maybe class based is better for you. So let me know what you think of classes versus classlessness, of skill based versus unskilled role playing. Let me know if there's anything that I've missed that I'm not considering. I'd love to hear about that in the comments below. And until I see you again, good day and good gaming.